Hello. I don't go on here to make political commentary, and I'm not doing that now either because this is about humanism, not politics. And anybody who chooses to see this as a political conversation is just needs to go to school, read some history, and actually do more than just believe what your friends and media or wherever sound bites you're hearing. Um, but I don't understand. I'm not a stupid person. I mean, I'm not the smartest, I guess, but I know I'm not the smartest, but I'm not an idiot. And I just fail to understand. And I wish somebody would explain it to me. We all live on a floating rock. It is floating in space, and we have no capacity to understand the depths of that or how many times it's multiplied or if it's reflected. If there's a planet just like ours, or if we are unique, we're not unique. There's some iteration of us, and maybe there's in tandem multiple dimensions or whatever way you want to look at existence. And us, each one of us, is on here on this planet for a short time. So it's natural for us to wonder, why are we here, and to hope that there's something more beyond it. And according to the Kabbalah, there's something known as the unknowable. It's this idea that no matter how much you wish you understood the universe beyond your own scope of existence, you will never know how much bigger or what it's all for, or if you've been here before, if you're going to be here again, or if you're living the same life in spirals all over itself. We don't know anything. All we know is right now, what we're doing here today. And all you're trying to do is live your best life, and in whatever way that means. But we're infinitesimal. We are so small compared to all of existence. If you blow it up, if you do so much as within our own galaxy, look at how far apart the known planets are from each other. Like, we can't even not get to most of them within our own lifetime. Things are so vast. And on this rock, which is capable of getting hit by anything at any time. I mean, some of these giant asteroids, they see when it's too late to do anything about it. And we're just hoping this time it's not going to hit us as it flies by. And eventually it will, because it has before. The Earth has gone through so many iterations, and there's so many mass extinctions, and we have no idea about anything. But somehow it's okay to have two groups of people diametrically opposed and have a whole bunch of unrelated people debating on who's right, when one of those groups fundamentally believes that what happens in this life doesn't matter, and therefore martyrdom is the goal, and the other group believes that it is not for us to determine why we are here, and all life is sacred and our job is to protect it. And when you have those two groups living together in one group, in one space, the group that is willing to give up their lives in order to sacrifice for ideology, the gift of life, because that's the only way you can look at it. And then you have another group that will take those same people and heal them if they are hurt in an explosion that they caused, because all life is sacred and it's not for us to decide who gets to live it. And then you have people debating in Toronto as you drive by major streets, and every single Saturday there's a group on Bathurst Street at the corner of Bathurst and Shepherd where there's police, and on either side there's people who come out with flags. Who gives a flying rat's ass? I don't get it. Why are you standing there? Why are you waving your flags? Why is life not sacred? You didn't decide to be born. You will not decide to die unless you blow yourself up or happen to put yourself in a situation where this is assured for you. And everything else is just live your best life and don't impede on somebody else's life to live there. Now, as far as people who choose to bemoan the fate of the victims in the Gaza Strip, I don't know anybody who doesn't feel horrible about the atrocities that both sides inflict on each other. But a person must have the right to defend their own home. And on October 7th, people were having dinner with their families, and strangers burst in and attacked the elderly, sexually assaulted grandmothers, and kidnapped children, and the atrocities that one group inflicted on another. And all of that is okay. And any effort to get those people back and bring them home is somehow seen as, I don't know, it's not up for debate. We don't get to do that. We don't get to sit there and say this group has more right to live life, or any single individual has more right to live life than another individual. It needs to be live and let live, because if you really look at it, we're all sitting on the same rock that's floating untethered. I mean, like, the gravitational pull is to a star. If by the way, something hits the sun that is capable of destroying the sun, we're not even like, it's not even about hitting the earth. So I mean, like, if you really look on a galactic sense, why do we have to have situations where people are so hateful towards each other? I don't understand the lack of compassion and kindness, and this devotion to ideology that is guided by this arrogant human presumption that they understand what life is about. I mean, think about it. If God is the almighty creator, if God created everything in its own image, then every blade of grass, every pine cone, everything that exists was created by this all-powerful being. And if we're going to talk about evil and demons, and I don't know, are we going to forget that there's so much, because of wars and how people are, there's so much overlap of things that don't jive with each other. So this idea of like demonic influence, if you believe in that, there's darkness. Like, either you believe in a single God where there's light and good, and anything that's evil is necessary to balance the good, or you've blindly adopted multi-deity kind of system, and continue to endorse something while talking about a singular all-knowing creator. I mean, like, we can talk about ideology, we can talk about theology, but I think that anybody who chooses to blindly not accept that there's a lot of gaps in their argument for why one group has the right to exist and another does not, why everything that is, it's just like the conversation about abortion. You have pro-life and you have pro-choice. It's not pro-life and pro-death, it's pro-life and pro-choice. And it's not, you know, anti-Semitism is kill the Arabs or kill the Jews. It's not. It's just kill the Jews, because hating on Jews is the oldest profession behind prostitution. And I would tender to say that hating Jews is probably more satisfying to so many people than prostitution, which is sad. More people should just go out and have sex, and maybe there will be less people trying to kill the Jews, because Jews didn't choose to be here. Even if we do get into religious and the chosen people and all this things, it's the chosen people. We didn't choose. Got chosen, presumably. And if we didn't get chosen, others exist and they have a right to exist. Everybody has a right to exist. Go home, stop waving your flag, stop yelling things. And if you walk past an artist and there's something on their table that reads like something, okay, I'll tell you why I'm ranting. I was at a market and I had something on my table that the symbols were from the tree of life based on the Kabbalah, and it talks about the universal balance of all things. And there is a symbol for each thought, like for wisdom, there is understanding. So you can't have just wisdom, you have to have understanding. For justice, there must be mercy. For female, there must be male. And it's all part of one coexisting system. And at the top of it, there's the crown. And at the bottom, there is the unknowable. And if you are going to look at life and the purpose of existence, and in that framework, it helps you attain balance, and it helps you, guides you in the principle of how to be a good person, and at the end of it, how to be satisfied that you lived your best life. It's not about taking away from anybody else's ideology or anything else. It's just a very deeply personal way of having a worldview. Let's use that language. And somebody came by my table and they looked at it and goes, and they did not look like they were Jewish or Arabic. They looked Indian. It was just like somebody that is another situation where they're completely outside of the situation. They don't have any political roots in it, or family roots. They just are listening to sound bites or whatever their perception of logic is. And it was just such a feel. Is that in Hebrew? I mean, like, it doesn't matter. It is a symbol representing a really beautiful ideology. And all they cared about is that it was Hebrew. And that is such a minor microaggression, but there's a lot of massive macroaggressions that take place. And the fact that people don't, like, you're only on here for a short time. I mean, even if you live to 140, like some people are able to live long, or you only have a day on this planet, or you managed to get to 52 years before cancer took your breasts, and then every other next day is, you know, the sun is shining, cool. Like, who are we to sit here and pass judgment on each other and take away from each other's right to have dinner with our families, to come home and hug the ones we love, and to pursue meaningful activities, to have conversations, or to love, or to rant, or to do anything. Why is it that some people's life purpose, this is the part that I do not understand, why do we, as an evolved human race, permit a small group of talking heads to dictate the right of anybody else to enjoy the gift that they were given by some unknowable force, coincidence, that is so transient in the grand scheme of things. We all share the same rock. And if something were to hit it, we're all going to be affected the same way. So I don't care what your belief system is, but as long as you don't step on anybody else's right to practice their own, not practice, as long as you don't prevent somebody else from living their best life, you should go on and live your best life. Believe what you believe. But you're here in the same way as everybody else. And to sit there and to debate somebody else's right to exist is wrong. It's morally and ethically incorrect. And we can have that conversation for as long as you want, but you will never win, because you cannot prove in any, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that you have a fulsome and correct understanding of something, that a teaching or a message or a belief that was delivered by some higher power, that you, in your imperfection, in your human form, I don't care who you got that information from or how that teaching arrived at your door, but it arrived to them from another human, and it was interpreted by humans, and humans didn't create themselves. I think we can all agree that humans cannot create themselves. Therefore, we must agree that humans are fallible. And for as long as that is a fundamental understanding between us all, that means that humans are capable of misinterpretation. We cannot make final decisions on each other. We cannot choose to end each other's lives, because we must allow that we could have been wrong about who we're choosing to pass judgment on. Anything we do to somebody else will come back to us. That's karma. So I don't get it. I don't get how anybody can stand there and debate the right of one person to live over another. All we can do is try to create a situation where people are permitted to live, and people must be permitted to defend their own homes, and people must be permitted to prevent others from entering their homes and taking their loved ones when they're doing nothing but having dinner and celebrating life. That's all there is to it.